St. Andrewstide at the beginning of the Christian year is a time when we think about the worldwide mission of the Church and our part in it. And this podcast is all about the work of the Mothers' Union. Familiar and yet surprising. Ruth Honey, you've been Canton Mothers' Union branch leader for 20 years? That's a long time. But you've been a member of St. John Canton for a lot longer than that, haven't you?
Yes, nearly 60 years.
That's quite a record. I hope you're still living it as much.
Yes, I am. It plays a big part of my life.
Super. Well, I'd like you to talk about your involvement in the Mothers' Union over that time, because you were a member before you were branch leader, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
So, how did it get going?
Mothers' Union was founded by Mary Sumner in 1876, and she wanted to do something to bring people together, both poor people and rich people, and the aim was to promote family Christian life, the root of which was prayer. And I became involved back in 1966 when I was asked if I'd like to be a member. Mothers' Union is prayer at the foremost, but it's also friendship and fellowship and faith.
And how?
And how, yes.
In all sorts of ways.
Yes. I think over the years I've been involved. There are various units in Mothers' Union that deal solely with certain aspects, the financial side of it, the prayer side of it, and the action and outreach side of it. And I was involved for just over 6 years with action and outreach, which was extremely interesting, because action and outreach deals with one of my pet things, the holiday caravan in Porthcawl, which is known as Afia, away from it all. And this caravan gives holidays to people who are going through extremely stressful times. They might have disabled children, or they just need a break, but they're given a free holiday at the seaside. And the caravan is about 5 minutes from the actual beach. And to read the visitors' book is absolutely amazing. So I was involved in that. And I've been involved in other different projects that have taken place over the years. Going back many, many years ago, they had a project, Bye Childhood, and Mothers' Union campaigned against the adverts that they should not be on at a certain time if they weren't directed at children. And that went to Parliament, and they eventually got that one.
And that's just on the home front, but there's the international side as well, isn't there?
Yeah, the international side. I mean, there are 4 million members all around the world. Mothers' Union in Africa especially, they rule the church. It's not the clergy that rule the church, it's the other way round. They decide things. And over there, they have a literacy programme, which we support in this country, which is another one of my favourite ones. And what the literacy programme does, we donate to it. It enables women who can't read, can't write, to learn to read, and by doing so, they become self-sufficient. Not only that, they can also administer medication to their children, which they wouldn't do normally.
Something you don't think about normally, isn't it?
No. Another one, they also have a fund, which most branches pay into, which supports, if there's a disaster in any country, they will send money from Mary Sumner House, which is in London.
HQ.
And they will send it from there to wherever this disaster area is, providing they've got a Mothers' Union branch there. And it goes direct from Mothers' Union there to Mothers' Union abroad. That's
great, isn't it?
Yes.
That eliminates the bureaucracy, because the people know each other, don't they?
Oh, yes,
in countries, and that's great. So this international dimension really fascinates me, I must say.
I must admit, I agree with that point. It fascinates me when I think every member of Mothers' Union has been enrolled, no matter what country, what language, has been enrolled exactly the same as I have, and we all say the same Mothers' Union prayer, maybe in different languages, but it's exactly the same.
That's real solidarity, isn't it?
Yes.
What about Mothers' Union visitors from overseas? I dare say you've seen a few of those over the years.
Yes, we had the worldwide president, Sharon Harper, came to London Cathedral last year at our 130th celebration, and she was absolutely amazing. And she has been all over the world, the same as other leaders, which I think is brilliant.
And what sort of things are going on at the moment?
The biggest one we've got at the moment is the Rise Up campaign that Mothers' Union are heavily involved with. And this is a Rise Up campaign wanting to make everybody know and be aware of domestic violence. So Mothers Union have issued out posters and leaflets to be displayed in public places, in churches, church halls, giving telephone numbers of the helpline telephone number for people suffering like this can make and get help.
Is this a Mothers Union helpline, or is it?
I think it's a Mothers Union helpline, but I think they would then give probably Women's Aid helpline and that sort of thing. But Mothers Union are very heavily involved. At branch level, you have to do various steps, and you can get a bronze, silver or gold award in this. At the moment, I think we're up to our silver award.
Heading in the right direction then, obviously.
Yes, oh yes,
That's
yes,
brilliant.
definitely, yes.
Let's talk a minute about fundraising, because you have some interesting stories to tell about what gets done and how it gets done.
There have been many, many events over the years for fundraising. One was a fair, and every branch had to have a stall that was a colour. And it was absolutely brilliant because it went to plan. Every stall sold everything to that particular colour. Recently, we've had another fundraising event, and that was a horse racing afternoon. No gambling was involved. It was all done by, you picked your horse and you put your number in a cup, and if it won, that was it. And whoever won the most, they had a prize at the end. But that raised quite a lot of money. We've had deanery coffee mornings that have raised not far off £800 to £900. And majority of times, the money that's raised goes to support the caravan, which is very important.
Yeah.
We've had fashion shows. We had a fashion show in our church going back some years ago, and that raised about £400, which also goes to the caravan. Our members took part. They were the models, and it was great fun.
And a lot of laughter.
It was a lot of laughter. Yes, it was. What I think to me is the most important thing with all the events. It brings members of other branches together, so you meet people. And I think it's just amazing to see all these people. And I think last year was the highlight, I think, for a lot of us, because they had the 130th year celebration in the cathedral. And that cathedral was brimming to the rafters. And there were over 80 banners that were carried down the aisle.
Good heavens.
I must admit, the feeling there, everybody was a Mothers Union member. And the feeling that went around that cathedral was absolutely amazing. It was just, yes.
That's how the body of Christ should be.
Yes, it was definitely, yes.
Super. There's rarely an event in church life when you don't find Mothers Union members in the kitchen or serving on tables, offering hospitality to all comers. Christmas fairs, clergy inductions, and other big celebrations that we all love to attend.
Yeah.
You've been involved in these, I guess, an awful long time.
Over the years, yes, very much so. I think they have been part of church life and part of Mothers Union life because we are giving of ourselves, which I think is important.
And, of course, hospitality is a primary Christian commitment, and it starts on the doorstep,
Yes.
the church doorstep.
Yes, yes. I think it's important as well for people, whether they're Mothers Union members or otherwise, who live on their own. They have somewhere to go, and the friendship and the fellowship of Mothers Union and church life, I think, is very important to them.
That on their own thing is quite significant, really, isn't it? Because each branch has got, obviously, older housebound members.
Yes, they're called indoor members.
Yeah.
And they are included in all prayers. They're included at a higher level than branch level. They're included at deanery level and even diocesan level. They will be contacted at Easter time and Christmas time from the leader of the indoor members, but they're never forgotten. And that, I think, is also very important.
And they're part of everybody's shared memories of the things you've done together. That's really great, isn't it?
Yes. It's quite interesting. If you go to a church and there's a Mothers Union banner there, I have made inquiries as to whether there are Mothers Union members. Once they know that you're a Mothers Union member, there's an immediate link.
Yeah. And it's a pretty unique, really, because it is so all-inclusive in terms of parishes and social settings, isn't it?
Very, very much so, yes.
Yeah. I know you have your little badges, but you don't have uniforms like they do in Africa, do you?
No, we don't have uniforms like they have in Africa, but we do have tablecloths, which came from Africa, which I think are part of their uniform. But I think about a few years ago they came up with a Mothers Union scarf. And you will find at funerals, various events, They might not be wearing their badge, but they will be wearing their scarf.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yes.
Something to keep an eye out.
Oh, yes, that's it, exactly. I recently went to a funeral who was a male member. In fact, he was a retired clergy. I went to his funeral and I had my scarf on. I didn't wear my badge. I had my scarf and people wanted to know what the scarf was and why I wore it. And yes, and he was a member of Mothers Union.
Superb.
Mm.
I take it from what you said about there being a clergy member that there's an interest from parish clergy about Mothers Union. But is there a Mothers Union chaplain in the diocese?
Yes. Oh, yes, there is a Mothers Union chaplain. And she, at various times of the year, she will write reflections, Lent reflections. And during COVID, she wrote every single week a reflection for us, for all members that were at home.
That's formidable, isn't it?
Yes. I would like to say that Mothers Union are not just a group of women and gentlemen that meet every 2 weeks. It's not just a case of meeting. There are things that go on outside that meeting. There are projects whereby people will be knitting for babies in Africa. Some years ago, the directive came out asking people to knit vests, baby vests, for mothers in Africa who were having babies and had nothing to put their babies in. They were wrapping them up in newspaper. And these became known as fish and chip vests. And there were thousands and thousands made. Another one as well, it came out many years ago. They were knitting what they called angel pockets. These angel pockets were for stillborn babies to be put in. So these angel pockets are knitted, white wool, either with a blue or a pink sticker on there to say what sex the baby was, and the baby can be put in there. And I just think they were absolutely brilliant. And they have given comfort to mums that have lost babies. There's also knitting for premature babies. We've got one member who knits premature baby bonnets because that's what they needed. And she would knit them by the 100 and take them up to the hospital. And they would be over the moon to receive them. I mean, all right, if there's anything, cake making, any celebration, any situation, you'll find somebody in Mothers Union will make cake. That's another one. The other one that we do as well, there's breakfast clubs. They're more up in the valleys, not so much down here, but up in the valleys. They have breakfast clubs where children can go there and Mothers Union members will provide breakfast. The other one is prison visits. All right, Dad has gone to prison. He's left his wife and children at home and he can't see the children without supervision. And Mothers Union will be there so he can have contact with his children. Another important one. And in my local branch, we support a place not far away where homeless teenagers can go to find safety and love and security and help for them to go on further on with their lives. Yeah. And we support them, or we provide food. And at Christmas time, we collect Christmas presents, which we take up there and they are packed. And last year I helped pack them and we filled 13 sacks. They had 13 teenagers there. They set them up. I think they're there for a couple of years and then they will find a flat for them. And they set them up in this flat.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It's amazing, really, the scope of activities. When you look at things in a little bit of detail, as we've been doing, you get this sense of there's a global network and there's local activities, and they all intermesh with this common thread of prayer and reflection and caring and supporting for each other.
Yes.
That's what the women of the church throughout the world see as their missionary priority, and it has no boundaries.
No.
Great. Lovely to hear that. Thank you.